Hey folks, Nathan here from Star Wars Beyond the Films, the Star Wars Timeline Gold, and the Star Wars Reports Rebels Roundtable, bringing you a look at the last and biggest of the expansions in Wave 1 for Imperial Assault for Fantasy Flight games. This is the General Weiss Field Commander Ally, or Villain pack. Figure pack, you might say. And this one, again, is freaking huge. The price tag is $20, by the way, to make up for the fact that it is huge. But you may recall this sucker, right? The ATST from the original core set. Well, now what we've got is a variant on this. General Weiss, that in the original core set was represented by a deployment card and a token, an oversized token about the size of that little pad that it stands on here. To put these two side by side, they are of course very similar. Same bottom platform, same legs, same little cannon on the front, same head, so to speak. The arms, of course, are different. These two bigger weapons here compared to what you've got here on the sides. And the top is different. The little sort of like manhole type cover for the cap on the thing versus actually having Weiss sticking his head out to, demand obedience of his troops and whatnot. Now, you do just get the one. In this case, this is the one from the core set here, but I'm going to leave it out for just a moment to make a point here in a few. So, very cool looking. Nice sort of Gatling gun looking kind of thing here. I particularly like the look here on this side. General Weiss is pretty well detailed here. Dig in the look of this thing. Yes, it was just as much of a pain to put together when it comes to the turret type here in the front. I did find that it was easier to put the legs and arms on than before. And as for Weiss, he's alright. Putting him in once, a little bit tricky. Getting him in and out a couple of times, not as bad. And you will possibly be pulling him in and out, which again, we'll get to in just a moment. As for the rest that's included, we get a set of agenda cards here. Forest Ambush, Inspiring Command, and Special Modifications, all part of the General's scheme. Then we've got our deployment card here for General Weiss. And surprisingly, a deployment card for ATST. Both of these are duplicates of the ones in the core set. Again, we'll come back to it. 2 skirmish missions, Stolen Schematics and Stranded, both from the Imperial Research Lab map. And then 6 command cards. We've got 2 copies of Explosive Weaponry. We've got Heavy Armor, Overrun, New Orders, and Endless Reserves. We then, of course, have our instruction booklet type thing here, our rule book, which has Imperial Research Lab map, nice big one, given the size of this thing, and then Forest Ambush. Now, here's what I find interesting. Because you notice here, it included a deployment card for ATST. And, while the reward here is General Weiss, it does seem a little odd, right? With it, though, it's a little baggy. If you look what's in here, like, what the heck are these? Replacement parts? No, because those aren't parts on General Weiss. What is in here? Well, it's this part, and this part from the one in the core set, the only different pieces. That's right. What you've got here isn't just General Weiss and his ATST. If you so choose, instead of using his deployment card, you could use the ATST deployment card, swap out those 3 pieces for these 3 pieces, and you have an identical walker to the one in the core set to give you 2 regular ATSTs instead of 1 regular and 1 for General Weiss. That was not at all something that I was expecting. I expected just General Weiss, just his deployment card, that was it. But to give you the ability to swap between models here, albeit with that top piece being a little tougher to take on and take off, or put on and take off, than the arm pieces here, to give you that ability, and the extra deployment card is really awesome and a cool thing for them to do to increase the value that you're getting out of this $20 pack. By itself, the $20 price tag does make sense. It's $10 for basically a similar amount of expansion materials here, plus 1 small miniature. $13 for 2 small miniatures in a pack, $15 for 3, at least by the pattern we're seeing right now. And this certainly has way more plastic and parts in it than even those 3 that we saw back in the Rebel Trooper set. So it makes sense this would be a $20 package. But to have it be something versatile enough to swap between these two, I find that really awesome and a very cool thing, even if it's just with little pieces here, to have been done by Fantasy Flight Games. I find that this is still kind of a pain in the butt to put together, especially the cannons here. But I'd say part of that is forgiven by the fact that we have the ability to swap between the two models. Nicely done, Fantasy Flight Games. Nicely done.